Welcome to Triad News 360 for Wednesday, October 11th. I'm Cheryl Wayaro.
And I'm Amy He. Coming up next, we'll have the latest on the Las Vegas shooting.
And information on why an NFL football coach resigned, along with how DACA is affecting high school students.
Lights were lowered throughout Las Vegas as it has been 1 week since the tragic night. Police investigations are still ongoing into what exactly caused 64-year-old Stephen Paddock to send hundreds of bullets into a country festival crowd.
That's right. The total number of fatalities is 58, and the wounded number is nearly around 500. It's been counted as the deadliest massacre in U.S. history.
Authorities are still trying to determine what motivated Paddock. Even his brother Eric reported in Orlando that he was dumbstruck by the incident.
Events in Las Vegas unfolded very quickly. Now America is trying to understand why and how this happened yet again on U.S. soil.
Joining us in studio is Triad News 360, Drew Pines, with a live from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Drew?
Thank you, Amy and Cheryl. Joining me live from University of Las Vegas, Nevada is KUNV Radio 115 FM is Kristen Simmons with the latest on the mood and the investigations. Kristen, what's the latest on the investigation?
As far as I can remember checking yesterday's headlines, they pretty much figured out most of what they needed to. It's just like the little details. There was something about the security guard. That's a big deal. I think initially they thought that he was shot after he started shooting people, but now it's found out that the security guard was like shot before. So that is a big thing into itself. And then they're just trying to figure out more about Paddock and his motives and stuff. And yeah, it's just been really hectic, and they just keep uncovering more things. And of course, gun control is becoming more of an important topic than it already is, and how we need to maybe legislate that in Nevada and whatnot.
How have the students been recovering where you are?
So we had a visual last Monday, which is pretty great. I mean, in the circumstances, we had 500-something students come out, and then there were vigils all over the city. I actually don't know too many people that went to that concert or festival. I know people who went, and they're their loved ones have been affected by it. Like one of my coworkers, she had like a lot of friends and family. Like, she gave her tickets away to friends and family to go. So she's recuperating pretty well. You know, it's just a lot to take in. You have survivor's guilt and whatnot. So she's been doing better. It's just like keeping your mind off it and like trying to help best you can. And students in general, they've been doing great. We had like 1,000 Vegas Strong shirts that people were selling, you know, for like to go towards to help survivors, and there's also Survivor Fund in general for Las Vegas. And they sold out, I think, 1,000 shirts today, and they sold out like a good amount of like shirts on Monday. And so people have been lining up to donate blood, students included. So students have been doing, I think, great. Again, the people who I know who were affected, they've been doing better. But I don't know anyone who was like injured or that severe during the incident. And we did have an assistant hockey coach who was shot during the festival, but from what I hear, he's like doing great and he's recovering and stuff.
It's good. I'm glad he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm with Kristen from KUNV 91.5 Radio at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Back to you, Amy and Cheryl.
Thank you, Drew. Outdoor concerts are very common everywhere. Concert goers seldomly think about violence as they look forward to an evening of entertainment.
The party often starts well before the concert's first song. Just getting to the venue can be a part of the evening.
Some drive, grab an Uber, or take a local shuttle. Triad News 360 reporter Jennifer Bremer spoke with the driver about the events backstage.
Joining me live from Las Vegas is James Dixon. He is the tour bus driver for performers with the Jason Aldean concert. He was backstage during the concert and helped victims climb the fence and sheltered them in his bus and was right in the middle of it. Thank you so much for joining me, James. So please tell me, what was your job the night of the concert?
Well, we actually, I drive a bus for entertainers, and we were there for the day of the show. And just for the record, I didn't actually shelter anybody on the bus. I was parked up close to the fence, and I'm one of the people that helped people over the fence one at a time, and I got about 8 persons over the fence before the fence collapsed and the wave of people started coming and running past all the buses.
When did you first realize that something was very wrong?
The runner had just picked us up at the hotel to bring us back to drive for the night, and we were standing outside the bus talking about where we were going, and I headed right into the buses. And just as I got in the bus, somebody knocked on the door and said, "Run, they're shooting." And then I closed the door and let the tour manager know that there was a shooting somewhere. We didn't know where. And then the other bus driver came up and knocked on the door and said, "There's a shooting going on, definitely." At that point, I looked out the door, and I saw people climbing the fence, literally using each other as a human ladder to get up over the fence. It was quite tall.
Wow. What was it like when the concert goers started coming out and trying to get on the bus?
It was pretty tense. I mean, there was definitely a look of horror and terror, everything in their face. I've never seen anything like it.
That was James Dixon joining me live from Las Vegas with his eyewitnesses' accounts of the events at the concert that night. Thank you again, James. Mackenzie, Emily, back to you.
What a harrowing experience for everyone at the concert. The events of the shooting that night will leave scars on more than just the wounded.
First responders, members of the media, and just those near the concert will never forget what they heard and saw.
With well over 500 hurt in the shooting, Las Vegas hospitals were soon slammed with the wounded.
Emergency rooms were tested like they had never been before.
Brianna Handley of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Studio G newscast has this report for Triad News 360.
After the mass shooting at the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas Sunday night, hundreds of victims were rushed to local area hospitals, including University Medical Center on West Charleston Boulevard. According to the UMC CEO, 104 victims have been treated at the hospital, and as of now, 40 of them have been released.
So what's happening now are patients now are being sorted out and being transferred to the appropriate level of care after they've been stabilized and treated at their closest emergency rooms.
He also admits that it's been a long night, but one that they've been preparing for.
We've been preparing for moments like this. We've never wanted this to actually happen. We never wanted to have to execute this, but the silver lining in it all is Metro and fire and EMS and all the hospitals really responded extremely well. And patients that came in that could be saved were saved, and it could have been much worse if we weren't prepared for this.
The outcry of community support is abundantly clear at the UMC hospital. Volunteers have been at the hospital since late last night, providing assistance and accepting donations.
I appreciate everybody who's came out and lend a helping hand. As you can see, there's a lot of people here, different walks of life. We all came together and we showed what Vegas is really all about. So a lot of people look at us like the city of sin, but there's a lot of love here too.
How about Las Vegas? Let's hear it.
UMC is currently looking for donations of bottled water and blood. Reporting for Studio G, I'm Brianna Haney.
One way people in Las Vegas are recovering is by getting involved and helping out.
The day after the shooting, there were hour waits as people lined up to donate blood.
Helping each other helps the recovery, and people are also showing up at the hospitals in Las Vegas to do whatever they can while they're there. Thank you, Brianna.
As tragedy struck Las Vegas last weekend, pictures and videos have surfaced on various social media sites.
Triad News 360 reporter Zach Tucker joins us to talk with Kyle Lowry and Alex Ray, live from Las Vegas, who offer a unique first-hand account to the reactions in Vegas.
All right, well, thank you, Amy, and thank you, Cheryl. Joining me live, we have Kyle Lowry, also known as Kalo, and he is a Christian rapper from the Vegas area. And also we have Alex Ray, who is an IT assistant at the Clark County Police Department. All right, so with that being said, Alex, kind of talk us through about the reaction that went on Sunday night with the shooting, and talk about the reaction from first responders and other people in the police department.
So I think definitely, it hit everyone pretty close, first responder or, people in the valley in general. Losing 2 officers, that was definitely a big deal. Metro, that one hurt. That was close to home. And, everyone's been on pretty high alert ever since for obvious reasons. Still a lot of investigating going on where Kyle and I both go to college, UNLV. That's where they had their main triage center at the Thomas and Mack. So, that was pretty hustling and bustling with police activity for 2 to 3 days after. And definitely, everything's still blocked off down where the incident happened. We still have police presence 24/7 down there. So it's definitely been quite the response, but I think everything was handled pretty well. And, I'm glad that everyone else, with the exception of 2, made it home that night safe.
And kind of take us through, Vegas is kind of known as a city that never sleeps and kind of a city that's always on the go. So kind of take us through the emotions of what's going on in the city at the moment.
So I think, obviously there's that initial shock of what's going on. I was able to chat with my friend Farron, who was there at the concert. She experienced everything firsthand and thankfully made it out safe and sound. But she had to hide under the stage and everything like that. And, encountering her the next day, she seemed pretty normal, but she told me days later that she broke down and really, had a realization of what had taken place. And it was really a really eerie, kind of somber feel being on campus the day after. I thought it was a little odd that we had class the day after such a tragedy. So there was really just a lot of, I guess, solemn moments throughout the day, and it was just weird for me being on campus on such a somber day.
And I think, like you said, Vegas is known for being that 24/7 city. I'd say in a good way, the city by and large didn't shut down. We kept going. It was, like Kyle was saying, we actually drove to school that day together on Monday. So that was a little weird not seeing a single police officer driving around town because everyone else was, either at Thomas and Mack or down on the strip itself. As well as it was definitely a weird experience showing up to the police department, to an empty parking lot because people were out busy doing things. But I'd say overall that our city definitely, we've bounced back as much as we can, in the first week, going strong.
And now you guys actually got the opportunity to go down to the Mandalay Bay area as well as the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. And people had left flowers, different messages, and other sorts of things behind. So kind of take us through what the mood was like at the sign and kind of down towards the Mandalay Bay area.
So I actually went twice. I went Saturday morning and then I went Monday morning. For me personally, it was one of those things that really, it brought it into perspective. Obviously, I knew what had happened. I watched the news. I was listening to scanners as stuff was going on. But there's something a lot different about, walking by 58 crosses, walking by all these signs, from people all over the world who weren't even necessarily affected directly, going, hey, we're sorry this happened to your city. We love you guys. Be strong. I'll definitely admit the first time I went, I was just crying my eyes out the whole time. That was a tough one to keep together. And, walking by people who were doing the same thing because they were going, hey, I knew this person, or, wishing I was going to see them again. So that was definitely rough, but it was also, in my opinion, I think Kyle would agree, it was nice to see a community come together like that, because Vegas is also known for being a commuter town for sure. A lot of people, you don't necessarily know who your neighbors are. I think I know 2 neighbors out of the 8 neighbors that I share my living place with. So it's been nice to see people, including down there, between notes, letters, hugs, talking to people, actually, helping each other out and being there for each other, for sure.
Yeah, and I know for me, just being at church on Sunday, we watched a slideshow of all 58 victims of the tragedy, and that was, for me, the breaking point as far as tears and just really being overwhelmed with emotion of what really took place and what really happened, that those weren't, those were actual people, those were families, those were people affected, those are names, those are stories, and basically that's that's what really took a toll on me, was seeing the names and the places from which they came. There were 3 people from my original hometown of Bakersfield, California, and that's when it really hit me hard.
Right, and I'm sure that is very impactful, and with everything kind of coming out lately with more pictures and videos and whatnot. So thank you very much, Kyle and Alex, for joining us today, and back to you, Amy and Cheryl.
What an inspiring message to hear during an extremely trying time for the citizens of Las Vegas.
It's hopeful to see at least one artist trying to spread positivity through music and faith. The NRA has come out in support of a federal law banning bump stocks. Bump stocks are devices that can be attached to semi-automatic weapons that essentially turn them into near military-grade automatic machine guns.
Yes, you heard that right. The National Rifle Association has come out in support of this law in the wake of the Las Vegas shootings, where Stephen Paddock is reported to have used a bump stock, making the shooting far worse than it might have been if he had not had access to one. Some GOP lawmakers have also said they are looking into it.
If this law can move forward, it will be a greatly needed measure of bipartisanship that this country hasn't seen for quite some time. Marijuana is set to go mainstream next year in Massachusetts, Maine, and California. They will join 5 states that currently allow marijuana to be sold recreationally.
That's right. And the addition of California to this list could quite possibly push nationwide sales of marijuana to $24 billion within the next 10 years.
In California, sales are supposed to begin on January 1st, while Maine and Massachusetts have slated summer 2018 as their target date to have legal dispensaries open. Chris Forster resigned as Miami Dolphins offensive line coach on Monday after a video was released by a Las Vegas model of him apparently snorting a white substance through a rolled-up dollar bill.
The Dolphins are fully aware of the video, which a team source said was probably taken in the team's offices.
The video we're about to show contains graphic content of possible drug use.
The selfie-style video clearly shows Coach Chris Forrester snorting a white powder through a rolled $20 bill.
It was posted by Las Vegas dancer and Forrester's ex-girlfriend, Kiwana Knight, via her Facebook page. The video is 56 seconds in length and includes Forrester's confessing his love for the woman.
According to ESPN, Forrester was one of the highest paid assistants in the NFL, with a salary between $2.5 and $3 million a season. Needless to say, this video spread quickly on the internet and also is raising major questions about drug use in the NFL.
Forrester said in a statement released by the Dolphins that his focus will be on getting the help that he needs with the support of his family and medical professions.
2 months after the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, VA neo-Nazis returned for another small protest.
The rally was led by far-right figure Richard Spencer, who was the mastermind behind August's protest.
Neo-Nazis joined in front of the Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, which has been covered since the August protest, as the town discusses whether or not they want to remove it.
When students go to school, they worry about tests, sports, and just getting along.
Other students worry if they can not only stay in school, but in the country.
Triad News 360 reporter Isabel Germino recently visited a local high school where students are concerned about decisions made in Washington.
When Obama created DACA, it was an answer to many prayers.
These students are here to listen and learn. They could be playing sports or hanging with friends, but instead they are attending the National Conference for Community and Justice Anytown program to discuss the issue of DACA.
DACA is impacting me because a lot of my close friends are actually undocumented and they have to worry about whether or not they're going to be deported, or one of my close friends at school, she worries that she's not going to be able to get her license, and she works 3 jobs. She's the only one supporting her family, and so she's worried that if they take DACA away from her, that her family is just going to be out on the street.
My friends that are undocumented and under the DACA program, they're in a limbo. They're scared. They've talked to their lawyers. They've done everything that they can afford to do.
DACA is affecting many of my friends and their emotional status and their families. I know many people who are dealing with depression because of DACA, and they've changed their future plans of going to college because of DACA.
DACA is the federal program that allows people who arrived in the United States before the age of 16 to obtain work permits, driver's licenses, and other benefits typically only granted to U.S. citizens.
I think that it shouldn't just be for young people. I think that it should be for all undocumented immigrants. Everyone deserves a chance.
I know plenty of people that are over 30 years old and still want to go to college or want to have a license, anything really that everyday Americans take for granted.
For Triad News 360, I'm Isabel Germino.
That speech was given at the National Conference for Community and Justice Anytime program for high schoolers.
Families just want to stay together. They can only hope that members of Congress can come together for the sake of the dreamers.
After this, we'll see how one state team did their part to help the relief effort following Hurricane Harvey.
And a special local event helping all those touched by cancer.
This is Triad News 360, and we'll be right back.
When did this become reality? Do you know your First Amendment rights?
Welcome back to Triad News 360 for Wednesday, October 11th. I'm Amy He.
And I'm Cheryl Waiaro. People oftentimes feel very alone when they are told they have cancer.
But there are many people who have fought the fight before and are there to help and encourage.
Triad News 360 reporter Sydney Goldberg had the opportunity to speak with survivors and listen to their incredible journeys.
So I really feel like I have a calling and a responsibility to use my voice and my breath to speak out for those who are unable to speak for themselves.
Dusty Donaldson was diagnosed 12 years ago with lung cancer. She felt terrified and alone, but somehow survived due to catching it during the early stages. From this trauma, she started the Live Lung Foundation to let other cancer patients know that they are never alone and to never give up hope.
So I was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2005, which was 12 years ago. And I was one of the fortunate ones. I was early stage, so I was able to have surgery. I had 2/3 of my right lung removed, and then I had some chemotherapy, kind of for good measure, and I have been cancer-free ever since. In fact, since my diagnosis 12 years ago, there have been almost 2 million Americans who died from lung cancer. So,
she was given a year. Later on, Susan Wilford, her oncologist, said in reality it was 6 months, but she'll be here 4 years, just coming March 18th. Yeah. And she's had 8 chemos, 33 radiations, 19 chemos, off and on, over 40 days in the hospital, over 100 trips to the infusion center. She is a miracle, and I think early detection is a key, and that people should, if they're having symptoms, they should emphasize to their doctor that I need to be checked from head to toe.
Almost everyone knows someone touched by cancer, so they understand just how important this type of support group can be.
That's right. What a wonderful way to honor survivors. Remember those who died and create a supportive community for those still fighting.
High Point is on the verge of electing their new mayor, After last night's primary election, Jay Wagner and Bruce Davis advanced to the general election in the High Point mayoral race.
Whoever gets elected will have plenty of work right off the bat, with the new baseball stadium in negotiation and further projects regarding High Point's furniture market.
We will know the new mayor November 4th, so you still have a few weeks to pick your favorite candidate. Since the first picture showed up with the overwhelmingly amount of damage to Houston and the surrounding areas, people all over the country have been pitching to help in. In particular, a boating team from Western Carolina University, Triad news reporter Graylin Gover, had the opportunity to interview a few members of the team to get a better sense of what it truly means to lend a helping hand after destruction in places of need.
Everyone has seen the pictures of Hurricane Harvey and the rescues that took place. The courage of other people motivated others to join in. Jacob and his friends saw these images and couldn't sit by and do nothing. For 2 days, the team launched their boats into the flooded waters of Houston. In that short amount of time, the Western Carolina team alone rescued 41 people. In addition, they joined forces with a team from Louisiana and raised the amount of people saved to over 50. Among these 50 people was a 90-year-old woman in a wheelchair.
90-year-old woman, and she was actually immobile, so she was bound to a wheelchair. We had to lift her and the wheelchair into a small boat and then float the boat over to where the truck was and put her from the boat into the truck, and that was pretty tough.
While saving people was the main concern, the team also took time to save animals such as cows.
They were about up to their shoulders in water in some places. We just pushed them on up to high ground with the boats.
There was no stopping them. The team worked from sunup to sundown. The money played a huge part in making their rescue missions possible. The team of 11 spent $4,500 out of their own pocket and in addition raised $9,000 in donations.
Luckily we raised a little over $9,000, so we were able to send some money back down there to help out with more hurricane relief.
This group of juniors and seniors have done something in their college career they will never ever forget, and the people of Houston will forever be thankful for them.
Wow, what an incredible story. The Houston victims must be especially thankful for the outpouring of help, even from out of state.
Right? This makes me think of ways I want to help, since I'm sure all the areas still recovering could use it. Apple Chief Design Officer Joni Ives says that most customers misuse iPhones.
Ives then explained his statement saying that the constant use of the popular smartphone is not appropriate use. The Apple rep offered a solution with his new Apple Watch. He tends not to scroll on his phone as much.
Looks like Apple's trying to push products again. Amy?
They really know how to keep their customers hanging.
After this short break, news on yet another storm hitting the Gulf Coast and a local fall fest that features some unbelievable guests.
Seeing some sunny skies this week, but we'll have more on that later.
We will be right back.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Triad News 360. I'm Amy He.
And I'm Cheryl Wayaro. Hurricane Nate has downgraded to a tropical storm around 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, October 8th. When the storm began, the National Hurricane Center announced that the winds were up to 85 miles per hour. However, winds are now only 70 miles per hour. Even though the wind speeds have gone down, many states are still in a state of emergency.
These states are Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and once again, Florida. The storm has weakened quite a lot, but ABC meteorologist Den Peck says heavy rain and flash flooding are still cause for concern. These states each made necessary preparations that help keep them safe, but 100,000 residents across Alabama and Mississippi are out of power.
After such a nice start to the week, following the fall concert, it's been pretty gray and muggy these past few days.
Leftovers from all the hurricanes, I'm sure. The skies are bright, but not as bright as our Triad News 360 weather person, Gus Curtis' outfit. How's it looking for this week, Gus?
Well, this week isn't forecasted to have that crisp, clear fall weather we all love, sadly, with highs in the 80s and cloudy skies. This week, Hurricane Nate stormed into the news with winds of a Category 1 hurricane that can cause severe tree damage and even power outages. Let's go to the national temperature. Over in the northwest region, we have temperatures getting as low as 24 degrees, and to be honest, that is way too cold for me. Over in the southeast, down in Florida, we have temperatures rising up to 83 degrees, and hey surfers, Calabunga, let's get ready to surf. All right, let's get to the national pressure system. Over in the northeast, we have low pressure systems, which means you can expect to see cloudy and rainy skies. But, however, in the mid-region, we have high pressure systems, which means you can expect to have not warm weather, but you will be expecting clear and sunny skies. Now, let's take a closer look at North Carolina. So, this week, we've been seeing a lot of 79 degrees in the area, and we've hit a low of 66. Now, let's take a little bit of a look at what's in store for us for the rest of the week. So, as you can see, for the rest of the week, we have a slight rain chance on Wednesday and Thursday coming up, but it's going to be clear and sunny, so you know what? Let's get ready to get those sunglasses on and that hard top down, and let's go cruising. Back to you.
That's disappointing. Is fall running late this year or something?
These temperatures sure make it feel that way. Amy, hopefully it'll clear up and cool off soon.
The 45th Annual Asheboro Fall Festival took place in Bicentennial Park this past weekend. The festival allows for people of all ages to get into the fall spirit.
And in addition, the Randolph Arts Guild sponsors the festival, which is why there were paintings and displays up for Halloween and even Christmas.
Threats of rain did not stop the huge turnout of nearly 1,000 people, and the rain did not come despite the warnings.
Kids were able to play in bouncy houses and participate in arts and crafts, and guests were able to treat themselves to deep-fried foods such as funnel cakes and mutton, while also being able to take part in raffles and buying souvenirs.
Hey Cheryl, did you know that there are exotic animals just an hour away from campus?
What? No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, just about 54 miles from here, you can visit and feed giraffes, zebras, cows, camels, llamas, pot-bellied pigs, rams, deer, sheep, and a delightful ostrich.
Wow, that actually sounds so fun. And Triad News 360 reporter Kate Moans got to experience it firsthand.
The Lazy Five Ranch is a very special place that will create very special memories for everyone and their families. It's something you need to do with friends rather than just go to the movies. I got to see just how large and involved the ranch was during my visit.
What a fun and exotic way.
Oh my God. There's nothing more memorable than feeding a giraffe on the top of your car. What about lions, tigers, and bears? Well, just kidding. More like bulls, zebras, and giraffes. Head over to Lazy Five Ranch through October 29th for their fall festival with their main attraction, animals.
Yeah, they have a lot of fall festivities. You can go and bring kids and enjoy with the family.
Lazy Five is privately owned and operated by Henry Hampton, who's been raising exotic animals for over 35 years. It started out as more of a zoo exhibit and finally turned into a hands-on experience, home to 750 animals from 6 different continents.
So the animals come up to your car and you can feed them and you can play with them. It's so fun. I would say the bull is the craziest animal here because they have crazy huge horns and they literally come into your car and the horns are like stopping them from coming in.
Needless to say, by the end of this 3.5-mile safari ride, you'll have all the animals chasing you down, eating right out of the palm of your hand. They're quite friendly and love to get up close and personal, that's for sure. Oh my god, I have slobber all over. Bring your friends, bring your family to Lazy Five Ranch this fall to experience marshmallow roasting, pumpkin slingshots, and a hay castle. You'll never forget an experience like this.
What a fun and exotic way to celebrate the start of fall. Who knew you could go on a safari without leaving the Triad?
I know, I love to feed those giraffes. Anything else we need to know, Kate?
Yes, Lazy Five Ranch is about an hour away from the Triad area in Morrisville, North Carolina. Their hours of operation vary day to day, so be sure to check out that information along with their rates, which can be found all online at lazyfiveranch.com.
Thanks so much, Kate. That must have been a ton of fun.
It was a blast.
Coming up next, we'll take a closer look at a Washington charity event whose participant might surprise you, and an update on Panthers' recent performance.
This is Triad News 360, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
To Triad News 360, I'm Cheryl Wyaro.
And I'm Amy He. A congressional charity basketball game that was about as tough as a debate on the floor of Senate in Washington, D.C.
The game pitted members of Congress and staff against lobbyists, with all proceeds going to local children charities. Our very own Triad News 360 reporter Ashton Keefe was able to get it all while he went to D.C.
The Hoops for Youth Congressional Fall Classic isn't your typical pickup basketball game. Congressmen and staffers battle it out here for not only bragging rights, but for a good cause.
I had the chance to catch up with Paul Miller, chairman of the Hoops for Youth Foundation, after the game to get a little more insight of what was going on here.
I'm Paul Miller, chairman of the Hoops for Youth Foundation, and this is our 19th annual Fall Classic, which pits members of Congress versus the lobbying community, all in an effort to raise money for local D.C. kids. They started 19 years ago with just the effort to come out here and play basketball, beat each other up a little bit. Most of us don't live here in D.C. We spend so much time down here, but we don't spend a lot of time in the community. So this was our way to kind of help some incredible kids, just give them a little bit of helping hand, a lift up. And as you saw earlier with all the kids here, they love the game, they love rooting for the members, and it's a fun activity, fun game, fun evening out for the family, and we raise a lot of money that goes directly back into this community, all of it.
Absolute great energy. Absolute great energy. Coaches, why don't we give them a hand?
Special guests John Calipari and Keith Ergo came down to help these youngsters perfect their basketball skills and to support the cause. This charity game helps inner city kids who are less fortunate than others. Horton's Kids and the Healthy Babies Project help not only to nurture these kids with healthy meals, but also help them succeed later on in their lives. With over $100,000 raised this past year, I think it's safe to say that everybody won in this basketball game. And as always, it's for the kids. Reporting for Triad News 360, this is Ashton Keefe.
Say, hoops for youth! Hoops for youth on three! 1, 2, 3!
It's pretty funny to see old politicians doing their best to tear up the court, but at least it's all for a good cause.
That's right. I'm sure Horton's Kids and the Healthy Babies Project appreciate the money the event raised. Well, fall sports are in full swing. Women's volleyball doing well at High Point University, and a live report from HPU Soccer. Joining us now is Triad News 360 sports reporter JT Aubrey. JT?
The High Point women's volleyball team moved to 7-0 in conference play last night after sweeping Liberty 3 sets to none. The Panthers were led by Molly Livingston, who tallied 14 kills. Senior Haley Barnes chipped in with 10 kills on the night as well. The Panthers have won 17 straight sets, which is the nation's longest active streak and longest stretch in the program's Division I era. Next up, the Panthers will host UNC Asheville in the Mills Center on Saturday. High Point University women's soccer team lost 1-0 on Saturday at UNC Asheville, ending the Panthers' four-game winning streak. Senior goalkeeper Alex Hank made 4 saves in the defeat against the Bulldogs. The Panthers are now 3-1-1 in conference play. Next up, the Panthers travel to Gardner-Webb on Wednesday. The High Point men's soccer team is in action tonight against Loyola, Maryland. Let's check in with Triad News reporter Colin Giuliani out at Vert Stadium for this update. Colin?
High Point Panthers are currently playing the Loyola Greyhounds in the final non-conference match of the season for both teams. Last year, these teams met in Loyola, and High Point won that one 3-1, so they'll be looking to make it 2 straight wins against the Greyhounds in this one. High Point coming off of a victory against Radford on Saturday. They won that one 2-1 off of goals by Ebby Cadolo and Justin Shear. It was the first time that High Point ever won in Radford since 2000, and that's big because Radford is the defending conference champions, and they hadn't lost a conference match at home since 2014. Coming up next for High Point after this game is going to be a game against Winthrop on Saturday right here at Vert Stadium. 3 of High Point's next 4 games are going to be at Vert Stadium. The Panthers are now 2-1 in conference play, and again, they're playing Loyola right now in a non-conference match. Still 0-0 in this one, so we'll see how that one goes. For Triad News, I'm Colin Giuliani. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Colin. In one of the major events of the fall season, the Panthers host the Vert Cross Invitational Cross Country Meet this Friday in Kernersville, North Carolina. Standout Alejandro Juan Torres will lead the men in the 8K race, while Famke Heist will lead the women in the 6K. Both High Point men's and women's golf teams are hitting the links on October 16th and 17th. The men's team will be competing at the Phoenix Invitational in Burlington, North Carolina, while HPU's women's team will be in Hayesville, North Carolina for the Billberg Invitational. Former HPU baseball standout Cody Allen, a relief pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, returned to the MLB postseason for the second year in a row. Allen has one save against the New York Yankees and has pitched 4 innings without allowing a run in the American League Division Series. Allen finished the regular season with 30 saves and a 2.94 ERA. The Indians take on the Yankees tonight in a decisive Game 5 to determine who will advance to the ALCS.
Another story regarding the NFL this weekend as Vice President Mike Pence left the game between the San Francisco 49ers and Indianapolis Colts following the order of his superior.
Yeah, it seems like President Donald Trump asked Pence to leave if any player kneeled during the national anthem.
Well, the Vice President of the United States didn't watch much of the game on Sunday, but his trip did cost taxpayers well over $200,000 for the Vice President not to see the game.
Well, that's all we have for time for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining us here at Triad News 360. I'm Cheryl Iaro.
And I'm Amy He. Good night, High Point.